Hey everyone, welcome to this week's Azure Updates, the 15th of August. I was torn what t-shirt to wear today because Superman is now available for home watching. It was a tough one, but I went with, hey, I just want superpowers myself. So always we have the chapters, so you can jump to whatever particular update you care about the most. New videos this week, and actually before I talk about new videos, some people noticed I did an app gateway for containers web application firewall video last week, which I then pulled. The reason I pulled it is after I released the video, there might be some changes to how it's actually being priced. So they requested I take the video down to avoid any confusion. So hopefully I'll be able to get something back up on that pretty quickly. But new video this week, I dived into the new OpenAI GPT-5 model that converges the capabilities of a lot of different models they had in the past and how I can use it on the Microsoft ecosystem, be it Foundry, Copilot Studio, Microsoft Copilot, Copilot Chat, M365 Copilot, GitHub Copilot, the list goes on. So just talk about how you can leverage it. So on to what's new on the compute side. So the multi-tenant public app service across basic, standard, premium SKUs, functions consumptions, functions elastic premium, logic app standard, all now support inbound support for IPv6. So obviously IPv6 is the successor to IPv4, has a much larger address space, was designed to handle the exhaustion of the IPv4 address space that, based on how people are using different types of NAT capabilities, really hasn't come to pass. But if you are still using and moving to that IPv6, which I'm sure will become the standard at some point, now I can use it to receive traffic for app service. Networking side. So at last, and this is huge, I can do a fully private app gateway v2. So this is the regional layer 7, so it understands HTTPS, etc. app gateway solution, and I don't have to have a public IP address anymore. Also, as part of this private solution, now I have better control of both the network security groups to control the flow of traffic, but also the route tables, including the ability to override the default route to the internet. It can use DNS resolution via the virtual network. So remember, with a virtual network, I can plumb in particular private DNS zones. So now I can leverage that through the app gateway as well. It still deploys into the app gateway subnet for its front-end private IP, but I can also leverage private link for additional private connectivity from VNets, for example, that are not peered. On the database side, so Azure Data Factory's pipeline capability, which also means the Synapse pipelines, because that's built on Azure Data Factory, now has the upsert and script activities in GA when I'm talking to the Azure Managed PostgreSQL Flex. Remember, upsert combines both an update to an existing piece of data and also an insert where I would do a new piece of data. So the benefit here is, imagine I'm merging a lot of data into a table, and maybe I'm not sure if the record already exists or it doesn't. So with upsert, it takes the work off of me as the developer. So now I just use upsert and it will decide, hey, is it an update or is it an insert? So it makes it much, much simpler. So that's the key goal of using the upsert. And then script activity just lets me execute custom SQL scripts as part of that data flow. So really, both of these are just designed to help your data transformation pipelines when you have Azure Managed PostgreSQL. Obviously, a lot of these are going to be based around having it as a sink, i.e. the target where I'm putting data, but maybe I could also use them when it's the source I am getting data from it. Azure Managed Cassandra now has v5 support. So we have the Azure Managed instance for Apache Cassandra. With the Cassandra 5.0 support, it has better performance, it has new indexing capabilities, it has dynamic data masking, it has ACID transactions, it has vector search, and a bunch more stuff. So if I am using that managed Apache Cassandra now, hey, I can take advantage of the 5.0 Cassandra features. Cosmos DB for MongoDB now has customer managed key. So this lets me use encryption using a key in the customer's key vault. Now, this is on top of the Microsoft managed service managed key encryption. So there's still the layer of encryption that's managed by a Microsoft key, and then you have another layer on top of that using your key. Now you configure this at the cluster level. So all data, backups, logs, temporary files will all be encrypted on disk using this key. So the point is you can now manage the life cycle of that key when you want to rotate it, and you own it. Azure PostgreSQL Flexible is now available in Malaysia West. Remember, the whole point of the Flexible is it's VM-based. So I have better control of parameters. I can use more types of SKU. There's better resiliency options and a whole bunch more. And Power Platform now has a Databricks connector. So if I'm using Power Platform, I can easily connect to Azure Databricks. And the whole point of that is now I can get real-time data access without having to copy the data somewhere. So my Power Platform app can leverage the very large data sets we typically have in Databricks, and then I could visualize that data. I could work with the data using the Power FX formula language, and then also by extension, use Databricks as a data source for Copilot Studio to add in various AI insights. On the miscellaneous side, so Azure App Testing is available in preview. So the point of this is an end-to-end validation for your application, both the functionality of the app, but also the performance of the app. So that's going to use Playwright, JMeter, and Locus frameworks. Now, for the performance testing piece, you're probably like, we already have that. We have Azure Load Testing. And yes, this is going to leverage the already GA Azure Load Testing capability for the performance, but then it's going to use Playwright workspaces for the functional testing, but it will give it to you all from a single hub. Azure Monitor now has tenant-level health alerts in preview. So health alerts are critical. It helps us know if there's some problem with a component we're using. And ordinarily, we would set that maybe scoped at subscriptions. Well, now I can scope it at the tenant. So that's going to make it really easy to create alert rules for my health alerts that will cover anything within my entire tenant. So that will then simplify the maintenance of those alert rules. And all I do is when I create the health alert, I just set the scope as directory instead of subscription, resource group, or a particular resource. They have resumed the rollout of the Azure Automation limit update. So that rollout had been paused, but now they've resumed it. Now the exact limit will vary, but basically they're updating the limits for the maximum number of automation accounts in a subscription in a region and the maximum number of concurrent running jobs at the same instance of time per automation account. And generally they're being lowered. So you want to go and check the docs, check your region, check what the limits are. But if your current usage is higher than the new limits, your existing use is honored. It's not going to be reduced. And you can also go and request quota increases. And then this is kind of cool. Windows 365 Reserve. So remember, Windows 365 gives me a desktop in the cloud. Reserve is a way that ordinarily I'm using a different device. Hey, I've got my own laptop, a desktop, whatever that might be. Maybe it's even a VDI on premises. And what this provides is a device when my primary device is unavailable for whatever reason. I get 10 days usage per year. So the whole goal here is, hey, I pay less money, and only if I have like a true disaster with my primary device would I go and use this. I get the Windows 11 experience for while my other device is being repaired or replaced. It's very quick to provision. It's simple to manage. I get all the regular security benefits from the Microsoft ecosystem. I can still manage it with Intune. It is a gated public preview today, so you will have to apply for access, but it's a really nice way to get all of the capabilities of Windows 365, but as my backup device. And so I pay a lot less and I get that 10 days. That was it. Pretty quick update. I hope that was useful as always. And again, don't worry about that lab safety. Maybe you'll get some superpowers. And until next week, take care.